There's a kind of pain that no one talks about. The pain that comes when you finally realize you were the one who didn't value yourself enough. When you gave everything to someone who never truly saw your worth. When you fought to be chosen by a person who was never even fighting for you. And now all that love, all that effort, all that time you poured into them suddenly feels like a mistake. But deep down it wasn't. It was a lesson, a painful, necessary, unforgettable lesson that teaches you exactly what it costs to abandon yourself for love. Because when a woman doesn't value herself, she becomes blind to the truth. She tolerates things that break her. She confuses attention for affection, control for care, and chaos for connection. She keeps holding on, thinking maybe if she loves harder, he'll finally see her worth. Is that what she doesn't respect is that love without self-destruction is just slow self-destruction. When a woman doesn't value herself, she becomes addicted to potential. She keeps seeing what a person could be instead of who they actually are. She keeps waiting for that one day when they'll finally change. But that day never comes because people don't change when you sacrifice yourself for them. They change when they lose access to you. And that's the moment every woman eventually faces. The moment when she has to decide whether she'll keep begging for scraps of love or finally walk away and build her own peace. That moment is the awakening. It's not pretty, it's not gentle, it's raw, it's messy, and it hurts like hell, but it's also where her power begins. You see, the most painful truth a woman can face is realizing that she betrayed herself trying to be loyal to someone who was never loyal to her. She silenced her needs, ignored her intuition, and stayed longer than she should have, all in the name of love. But love should never cost you your peace. Love should never demand your dignity. Real love doesn't require you to lose yourself. It brings you back home to yourself. But that's what happens when you forget your own worth. You start accepting the bare minimum, thinking it's everything you deserve. You start shrinking your voice just to keep someone around. You start apologizing for wanting consistency, honesty, and effort. You start mistaking being chosen for being valued. And that's the biggest lie we tell ourselves. Being chosen doesn't mean being cherished. Being wanted doesn't mean being respected. Every woman reaches that breaking point where she finally looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize herself anymore. The sparkle in her eyes fades. Her laughter feels forced. Her energy becomes heavy. She starts wondering, when did I lose me? And that's the most heartbreaking part. Not losing him, but losing yourself trying to keep him. Because the truth is, no one can hurt you more deeply than you hurt yourself when you keep ignoring your worth. The moment you realize that, everything changes. You stop begging, you stop chasing, you stop explaining, you stop waiting for closure from someone who never cared enough to give it. You give it to yourself, because healing doesn't begin when someone apologizes. It begins when you decide that your peace matters more than their presence. And the beauty of that moment, it's when the same woman who once begged for attention suddenly becomes unreachable. Not because she's bitter, but because she's healed. Because she finally understands that no one can love her the way she deserves until she loves herself enough to stop settling. She no longer falls for potential. She looks for peace. She no longer chases validation. She gives herself permission to walk away from anything that doesn't feel like respect. She no longer confuses being needed with being valued. And when she reaches that stage, she becomes untouchable, not in arrogance, but in self-awareness. Her boundaries become sacred. Her silence becomes powerful. Her energy becomes expensive because she's learned that not everyone deserves access to her anymore. That's what happened when they're prolonging access to her anymore. Not anyone remembers who she is. She no longer tries to prove her worth. She simply embodies it. Her presence becomes her power. Her self-respect becomes her language. Her peace becomes her priority. And those who once played with her now realize what they lost, because nothing haunts a person more than the memory of a woman who loved them deeply, but learned to love herself more. Nothing hurts them more than watching her glow in the very peace they took for granted. That's the real revenge. Not bitterness, not anger, but peace. Peace that says, you no longer have the power to hurt me. So to every woman listening right now, stop pouring your energy into people who make you question your worth. Stop trying to earn love that should have been freely given. Stop chasing closure from people who were never open to understanding you in the first place. You are not hard to love. You were just loving the wrong people the right way. The day you realize that is the day you free yourself. The day you stop needing others to see your value is the day you finally become the woman you were meant to be. It's not easy, it hurts, it feels lonely at first, but that's the cost of self-respect. You lose people, but you find yourself. And that's the most beautiful trade you'll ever make. Let them go. Let them miss you. Let them regret losing you. But never, ever let them break you again. Because once a woman starts valuing herself, she becomes a storm, powerful, calm, and unstoppable. And the same people who once took her for granted will wish they had treated her better when they had the chance. But by then, it'll be too late. She'll have already moved on, not just from them, but from that version of herself that settled for less than she deserved. So if you're listening to this right now, and you feel that ache in your chest, that heaviness in your spirit, that's your soul reminding you. It's time. Time to stop waiting for people to change. Time to stop fighting battles that drain your peace. Time to stop settling for love that doesn't fill you back up. Value yourself enough to walk away. Value yourself enough to say, I deserve better. Because you do. Always have. Always will. Everything shill. If you finally make that decision, everything shist. You stop begging to be seen because you finally see yourself. You stop fighting to be heard because you finally listen to your own voice. You stop chasing love because you finally become love. And that version of you, the healed, grounded, self-loving you, that's the version that no one forgets. That's the version that inspires others to rise. That's the version that becomes magnetic. So protect her, you'll nurture her, for love her. Because when you do, you'll never have to beg for love again. You'll attract it by being it. So if this message spoke to you today, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with another woman who needs this reminder. And before you go, make sure to subscribe to Magnetic Mindset, where we talk about love, self-worth, and the power of becoming the woman who never forgets her value. Because you are not what you lost. You are what you learned. And you, my love, are the lesson they'll never forget.